1 million UFO sightings are reported each year. Most can be debunked, but 5% remain unexplained. These are the close encounters.
How many stops we got today?
We're checking the perimeter. 3 fence.
At one of America's most high-security Air Force bases, the night shift begins for a nuclear missile maintenance crew.
Quick, simple, should be good.
Yeah.
We got coffee in there?
Minot Air Force Base was an important part of the U.S. air defense system and our air attack system. And situated there were ICBM attack missiles as well as a B-52 nuclear bomber base.
Airmen John O'Connor and Lloyd Isley are on their way to one of Minot's 150 Minuteman missile silos.
They're young guys, they're technicians, they're maintenance guys. They're not trained in combat. They're trained to repair missiles. They're techie guys.
Sure is quiet out here.
More like dead.
They're out late at night. One of the biggest challenges is probably staying awake until you're relieved in the morning.
O'Connor looks out his window and he sees a very bright light, which his first thought is perhaps a farmer left his light on at 2 o'clock in the morning. But as he continues north and he looks again, he notices that this light has moved up higher off the ground and is now pacing them.
Hey! What's up?
That, look. That's following us.
Man, are you sure?
Look.
They become a little bit nervous about this, wonder what's going on. They had the impression the thing was watching them.
What is it? Listen.
O'Connor and Isley both said there was some kind of noise as it seemed to come closer to them, and they described it as being like a jet engine.
Well, what do we do?
Dispatch, this is Unit 1.
Have we got any craft out on maneuvers, patrol, anything tonight?
Stand by. Will confirm control tower. Control, do you have anything on radar in your silo number 7?
Negative, dispatch. Airspace is clear of traffic. Over.
Then he was told there was no traffic out there whatsoever.
Hold on to something.
O'Connor decides to check it out for himself.
O'Connor believes they're being monitored. He believes that there's purpose behind the movement of this light and the reason it is following them.
The light moves towards one of the missile sites, known by the code name November 7.
O'Connor's first thought is there's a potential threat to this missile silo.
Let's go! Go! Come on!
There was a lot at risk in this situation. There is an unknown object outside of this launch facility threatening the facility. Isley goes to the back of the truck and picks up an axe.
Isley just wanted some sort of weapon in case something happened. You have to remember, this is a maintenance crew. This isn't a security team. They're not armed.
What the hell are you doing? It's all I've got!
While O'Connor goes inside the silo compound, Isley remains behind.
Isley's still looking at the object, and as he gets closer and brighter, he now believes he sees an oblong shape to the object.
He's got an idea that this thing is huge, maybe a quarter of the size of an aircraft carrier. It's something that he has not seen before.
He is scared. He doesn't know what's happening. This is now potentially a disaster situation.
At a military base in North Dakota, two Air Force maintenance men see an object hovering right over a nuclear missile silo. At first, the maintenance crew were the only witnesses. Then the mysterious object appears on the radar screen.
So now, when you see something like this, you can't identify it. It becomes an issue of national security. And you want to know what's going on, you want to know who's doing it, and you want to know why.
Airman First Class Adams and Jablonski, we have reports of unusual lights over November 7th.
Backup required.
Copy that. On our way.
A nuclear weapons security team responds to the distress call from November 7 silo.
Two security airmen, Joe Jablonski and Gregory Adams, their job was to protect these nuclear weapons. They're 20 minutes away from their destination,
Instruments are clear.
but they're already hearing a lot of chatter on their radio.
Control, this is O'Connor. I have confirmed missile site has not been breached, but the object is getting closer. We need help out here, now. Stand by, Unit 1. Security has been dispatched.
Look, 3 o'clock. See it?
As they are racing towards silo November 7, they see a light.
Control, we've got a large light in view.
Well, about 8 miles out. Over.
Copy that, Sat-1. Radar confirms unknown object is descending.
The security team arrives at the missile silo to find Isley and O'Connor, with the object hovering right overhead. They prepare to defend the silo against the strange intruder, whatever it is.
You can't just start firing your weapon in the middle of North Dakota without an imminent threat. So they're trained not to just open fire.
At about the same time, a B-52 bomber, which had been out on a training mission, is coming back to Minot Air Force Base to land.
Sat-1, we have a B-52 on approach listening in. Can you give the coordinates of the object?
Roger. Yeah, I'd say maybe a mile south by southeast.
Minot base to Rapcon, over.
This is Rapcon, online with B-52.
We've got sightings of unusual lights near November 7.
The control tower wanted the B-52 to confirm what the ground crew was seeing and wanted to try to make a determination of exactly what they were dealing with.
Stand by, Control. Looks like we have another one. Unidentified. Object in sight 24 miles northwest of November 7 at 12,000 feet.
So while the guys on the ground are watching one object, the guys in the B-52 are seeing a second object.
So now there are two UFOs.
Suddenly, the object over November 7 silo rockets into the sky.
Control, we just lost visual.
As the guys on the ground saw the object disappear, the pilots in the B-52 saw their object disappear about the same time.
Reports of the mysterious sighting reach the highest levels of the U.S. military, and an investigation is launched. B-52 pilot Captain Bradford Runyon draws a detailed sketch of the object he witnessed. The U.S. Air Force assigns its UFO investigation unit, Project Blue Book, to investigate. A total of 14 airmen on the ground witnessed the unidentified object that night. One theory held that the sightings were the result of a rare weather phenomenon involving ionized gas in the atmosphere, known as plasma balls. During the height of the Cold War, UFOs were reported at 4 other nuclear bases: Malmstrom, Loring, Wurtsmith, and Warren.
It's back.
Where?
They see a figure on the craft.
Father!
It was getting closer to them.
In the shadowy rainforests of Papua New Guinea, teacher Stephen Moy makes his way to the local Anglican mission school. Stephen runs for the mission house to find Father William Gill.
Father Gill was the Anglican missionary in charge of all the education and other services.
Recently, Father Gill has been busy documenting strange sightings that locals believe to be ships from another world. For Stephen Moy, it's his second such sighting in less than a week.
Father.
What is it, Stephen?
It's back.
Father Gill was sceptical, but he was at least open-minded enough to ponder a range of different possibilities of what might have been going on.
Maybe it's just Venus. It's not a star. Well, what is it then?
Father Gill thought that perhaps Stephen Moy's sighting, as well as others, could have been caused by Venus. Venus is the brightest planet and can be refracted and appear to dance around the skies.
It's closer.
They head to the beach to get a better, clearer view of the sky.
He saw a bright light to the northwest, which he thought was unusual.
One thing is clear to Father Gill. It isn't Venus.
In fact, he saw Venus to its left. He thought that perhaps it had to be a plane.
But it doesn't act like any conventional plane.
The objects seemed to be completely silent.
As it came down closer, they could see it was shining like a halo of light on the underside of the clouds.
It's what I saw before.
And then, the mysterious object disappears. Father Gill heads back to the mission house.
Evening, Father.
To record what he saw.
He was certain that he saw something, but he was sufficiently kind of careful about his observations that he wasn't going to draw any real conclusions about it until he was absolutely certain.
He is soon joined by one of his assistants, Annie Laurie Baroa.
Good evening, Father.
Good evening, Annie.
Annie Laurie was an assistant school teacher at the local mission.
6:45, bright white light sighted amidst...
Father, do you see that?
This time the sighting is much closer.
It was about 500 feet away. There was this one main object, but there was also smaller satellite objects seen in close proximity.
What is it, Father?
Possibly satellites?
Satellites had been launched around the Earth 2 years before this.
We had the Sputnik launches, so that was the only kind of reference point that people had. As this thing approached,
they see a figure on the craft.
That's no satellite.
It was getting closer to them.
Father!
There were 4 figures on the top of the craft.
these figures were fairly large.
At a remote Anglican mission in Papua New Guinea, Father Gill struggles to explain the reoccurring appearance of a strange object in the sky.
Possibly satellites?
And its bizarre-looking occupants.
Who are they?
But before anyone can answer that question,
the object sort of moved away, then shot across the bay. It was also witnessed by others. There were approximately about 25 witnesses.
the following evening, Father Gill writes a report to his superiors. Still convinced there's a logical explanation for what he saw the night before.
Father!
But any rational explanation
Father!
is about to be put to the test.
Father! It's back.
Where?
At the beach.
On the beach, Stephen Moy and others have already gathered.
They started watching what appeared to be the same object back again.
Including the same mysterious shape on top. And it's not alone.
There were 4 figures on the top of the craft that were visible to the everybody below, essentially.
These figures were fairly large.
Who are they?
It could be military.
Father Gill was still entertaining the possibility that maybe it was some sort of exotic or advanced aircraft from the Americans.
Is that really military?
Possibly.
It wasn't that long after World War II when this occurred, and so America had a large presence in the Pacific. Father Gill decided to initiate communication. One of the figures moved over to the edge.
It was at that point that something very extraordinary happened. One of the figures waved back. Their intention was to perhaps try and encourage it to land. And then they'd really be clear-cut what they were dealing with there.
And then the craft moves out of view, towards the mission house.
Everyone, back to the mission house. Let's go.
Back at the compound, 100 yards from the mission house,
Wow. Oh my God.
the ship hovers silently, as if waiting for further contact.
Father Gill tried an additional experiment.
The object then slowly began to move back and forth in a pendulum-like fashion.
It was just purely imitating the motion or the movement of the flashlight backwards and forwards.
And then, show comes to a stop.
The object sort of slowly moved off into the cloud cover.
All right, everyone back inside.
It seemed to me with the many discussions I had with Father Gill over the decades, that from his own religious beliefs, maybe this was like an angelic kind of experience.
In total, 25 witnesses signed Father Gill's report on the strange sightings of June 26th and 27th, 1959. 6 months after the event, Air Force personnel interview Father Gill and attribute what he saw to a celestial phenomenon, the planet Venus. Noted UFO debunker Dr. Donald Menzel agrees, adding that Father Gill is known to be nearsighted. But that argument doesn't explain the other 25 witnesses. The 1959 sightings in New Guinea lead to the first credible witness report of extraterrestrials in UFO history.